Hello, this is Techno Guy 3, and this is another crap about me. Anyway, I'm sure a lot of people want to know how I got interested in computers, because, like, every single video I do has something to do with computers. How I got interested in computers, well, I've pretty much always been interested in computers. When I was about 2 years old is probably when I started using the computer. I've always loved using the computer. Never really was very interested in them, like, as much as I am now. But after a few years of using the computer, I started to get really good at, like, using Windows, because that was the only operating system I ever used. So, yeah. Anyway, I started to get really good at that, and eventually I pretty much knew everything there was to know about the Windows operating system. I still don't know that much about Mac OS X because I don't really use it a whole lot, but more than your average noob. Anyway, after a while, I came to know the operating system, and my slogan became, I don't know how it works, but I know how to work it. And one day I was just sitting there, I'm pretty sure I was on the computer also, and I'm just like, well, if I know how to work it, then why don't I know how it works? So I looked up on Google.com, and I looked up how to build a computer. So that's where I got the idea to build my desktop. Yes, my desktop is custom built. The specs, I think I've gone over that before, but yeah. Funny thing is, when I was like 2, my mom was teaching me how to use the mouse, and I'm actually right-handed, but she is left-handed. So I started using my left hand for the mouse. That's why I do use my left hand for the mouse. I'm basically ambidextrous on the mouse, but I am better with my left hand because I've been using that for so many years. And I prefer to use my left hand when I'm playing games and things because the WSAD, I think the keys are, that you use to move otherwise, like the W offsets like that. So when you move your finger's going to be going over here, and the W is like slanted this way. So I don't like that. I like using the arrow keys with my right hand and using the mouse with my left. But anyway, that's not really a point. I never really learned to type correctly. I know some people might not realize this, but I type with 2 fingers. I use 2 fingers to type, and I can manage 120 words per minute with 2 fingers. People are like amazed by that, but I've used 2 fingers for the 11 years that I've been using computers. Yeah. So when I use all my fingers, I can do that too, but it takes me a while. It's more like 30 at tops words per minute when I'm using all my fingers. 2 fingers, I can do that 120. But back to the point where I got really interested in computers. It wasn't until I was about 11, like late 11 years old. I'm 13 years old now. Birthday's coming up in December, so I'll be 14 then. Anyway, it was like when I was 11 years old, I started to get really interested in computers, and I started spending money on computers, and lots of geeks I know that got interested earlier in computers, 8 years old, they're able to afford more stuff than I can. And I've gone over this before, but lots of my stuff isn't as expensive as it looks. It's a little bit cheap, but yeah. Anyways, that's pretty much how I got interested in computers. I just really always liked them. None of my family, besides me, is really good with computers. My sister is very good with operating systems. She can code HTML and PHP. She can do graphics, which I cannot do to save my life. So don't ask me. Yeah, she's good with that, but she doesn't know all the hardware stuff. And I'm pretty much a hardware nerd now. So yeah, I don't know any programming languages. Once I get my Linux machine going, because I just got fed up with having Linux and Windows on the same computer, I'm going to use a different computer for that. It's going to be in a different room. Once I get my Linux machine going, I plan on learning Python, so that'll be very helpful to my geekery status. Then, of course, you get into Java and C++ and C and all those other things. So, yeah, I'm going to learn that. And, well, yeah, that is pretty much it. That's how I got interested in computers, really. My desktop, I bought all the components for it, and Tiger Direct is awesome. Very, very, very cheap and compared to stores. But, yeah, I just love computers, and I'm always going to love computers. And when I get a job, it's going to be definitely something about computers. Anyway, this has been TechnoGuy3, and my email address is technoguy3@ymail.com. My Ustream, which I'm streaming live a lot of the time, like maybe every few days I stream, ustream.tv/channel/technoguy3-live. So, yeah. And I thank you for watching and caring how I got interested in computers. Like,